During the short rest, everyone's healed back up, and during your short rest, you're kind of seeing the vines kind of wither and die on the outside of the temple. The temple without the vines on it still looks very old and ancient. It doesn't have any writing on it anywhere, but it has this sort of weird, very white, almost brilliant stone. If you guys look in the very center, you see this little ring where the stone heads are around up here.
Yep.
So how it looks like that's almost got like a halo of light around the stone. That's what the stone looks like underneath the temple. Although most of it seems to be hidden by the vines and the overgrowth and that sort of stuff. As you guys are resting, kind of getting relaxed, you see the flow of animals slow and then stop as things stop running to go into the temple, and several of the things that get close sort of scatter and go back and hide in the foliage around the temple itself. And then you hear with a crack that would be really really loud if you didn't have to deal with the heads recently. The door slammed shut, and you see it kind of lock and or shut and then seal. You get the impression that there doesn't seem to be any like door handle or anything like that. You probably still open it, but it's going to be decently difficult to open. As you guys are kind of gathered around, healing back up, talking about if you need to do any rituals to sort of make sure everyone's feeling well, you guys hear as the noises of the jungle start to come back. Not only do animals and creatures start to make noise in the jungle as they would normally, but you are also starting to get your hearing that slowly returns, and you hear a thudding sound off in the distance, and this sound. Ideally, the new sound thing works, but let's see. That didn't work too bad.
I have two things to say to that. One, that sounds like Jurassic Park, and two, we should probably get the hell out of Dodge.
I didn't hear anything. Would you mind repeating the sound? Cause
So if you have your sound turned off in Roll20, you would not have heard the sound. Um,
1 second then.
I'll see if the other one works. I don't think it does. Yeah, because they changed all the voice things or the sound things in the SoundCloud. So my old sounds for this don't work anymore. It's saddening.
Yeah, because SoundCloud's gone. That made sound significantly harder to.
Holy Jesus!
And you can hear a very rhythmic thump, thump, thump coming this way.
Guys. Can I do a nature check for that?
Sure.
I think the rest of us should start pushing on this door.
Was just about to say that myself.
So, you might not have seen one of these creatures before, but you've heard stories of the behemoths, great lizard-like creatures that inhabit the jungle and primordial islands. That thing sounds predatory and very large.
Yeah, I kind of figured that. Meta speaking, I kind of figured that much out. But now knowing it's like, guys, we should open the store like yesterday.
My only question is, would it be faster to destroy it than it would to push it open?
That's kind of up to you guys. So, the group kind of needs to decide what they want to do right now. If you guys want to force your way into the temple, that is definitely an option. And I will go ahead and toss you guys. I'm going to toss you guys back in initiative order regardless. So go ahead and roll initiative. This is not for combat. This is just for figuring out what to do here.
Another not 20 on initiative? Are you kidding me?
DM, before we go into initiative, can I quickly roll an engineering check to answer the question where it be easier to move or to break the stone?
That is going to be something. The easy answer is you don't know quite yet. It looks like the door is going to be difficult to open, but you're not sure if it's going to be difficult. Like if there's some mechanism holding it closed, then it would be easier to go through the wall. But you don't know because you guys haven't made any checks on it yet.
Okay.
could try to assess that with thievery.
This is true. So I'm missing one person from initiative. And I don't know who it is.
It's Peter.
Brett.
Peter.
Let's see.
Stop being AFK.
Well, is it time to go inside finally?
It's time to roll initiative.
It's time to stop being AFK, Peter.
Sorry.
So, Red, you're up first.
I guess I'll just try and open the door,
Okay.
if nothing else.
Just try to force it open.
Yep.
Okay. Do it up.
That's not good enough, I don't think.
So you slam your shoulder into the door, try to push it open. It doesn't really seem to open very much. And you see that when you hit it, all along the edge of the area that you hit on the side of the door, you see these tiny little runes light up, like the door is sealed and it's helping keep the door closed. None of you all recognize the language that the runes are written in. So, Navarian, this is a skill challenge, so it's not move, minor, standard, all that sort of stuff. This is, what are you doing to contribute to the challenge?
I am half tempted to try and blow a hole in a wall.
Well, that's who
I
do, then do that.
will. Yeah, screw it. I'll go ahead and do a sunstrike on the wall.
Okay. So when you go and you reach back and strike with a bolt of radiant energy into the wall, you see the where you strike into the wall lights up with a series of runes, and you see your energy get sucked into the wall. You have a very strong suspicion that what you just did strengthened the wall.
Brilliant.
Never try use force when it's intelligence that you might need. No offense.
Well, I mean, the end.
You feel like the specific energy that you used was absorbed by the wall.
Yeah.
Well, all my stuff is radiant, so I got nothing.
Peter, you're up. And where you struck the wall, all the runes are still lit up. There's a section that's about 2 foot by 2 foot that is just glowing with runes.
If someone could disrupt the rune on the door so we could push it open easier.
Okay, so then I'll go up to the door and can I attempt a thievery to blemish the rune so perhaps it'll stop working?
Sure. So you scratch away at some of the runes, and you see a good chunk of the runes stop, or the light kind of fades away from them. It looks like some of the runes are definitely still there. You're not completely done with it, but you've got a pretty good chunk of them done.
Okay. That's it for me.
Well, given that that Brett just kind of lowered the power of the runes around the door, I'm going to use Arcana to then kind of selectively discharge the one that he hasn't touched, or the ones that are still powerful enough to just completely shut him off if possible.
Okay. So you blast away the runes as they fade away, and Red, as you kind of have put your shoulder pushed against the door, you feel like skill check fire, like just all natural 20s all day. You feel like the door seems like it can be opened now that the seal has been removed. Ember, you're up.
Well, I mean, since I saw that happening, Mistim is sort of in the way, but I'll fly above him for the time being and also apply athletic force to the door.
Okay. You fly up, strike the door, and the door swings open. You see as the door opens, the entire wall next to the door starts to light up with runes, and you see as the runes that are farther away from the door, like 3 or 4 feet away from the door, they start to light like they're coming towards the door and pushing more energy to go and reseal the door.
Are the runes in Draconic, may I ask?
They're not. I looked at your
Okay.
guys' languages, and no one has these languages. Or no one has this
Okay.
language.
Just checking. I think that's it for me then. I'll fly back to where I stood, so I don't land on top of people.
So you guys have the door opened. Is the plan going to be for everyone to get into the building? Yes, no, maybe?
I'm gonna go with yes, but
I'm also gonna go with yes.
I'll say, what I wanted to do is, if no one has a thing to say, oh, no, I want to stay outside of the building to do X, then I'm going to say, you all have the door open, you guys can just go ahead and everyone can flood into the room.
I'm going to wait until everybody's in, because I kind of curious to see if I can spot the creature that was coming towards us. Because I'm scared of it, but I'm kind of curious to see it.
So, seems like everyone is going to come in. So you see the runes on the door lighting up, getting closer and closer to resealing the door. And then you see one of the trees kind of move violently off in the distance as this creature comes onto the into the area.
do you have a picture of the creature?
It's up in the right
It's
corner.
up
In the top right corner.
And it looked
Ah.
Doc Shen sent a land taxi instead of a water taxi.
So, it's about 45 feet tall. It is a huge lizard with a very powerful looking maw. It's got 2 kind of short, stunted arms and 2 really long, powerful legs, as well as a long, powerful tail. And you see, right as the door is as the lights are going to get to the door and seal the door, that there are what look to be runes carved on the side of the creature. That are in that same language that's on the door, and that are kind of glowing a very pale white color, a blue-white light. And then the door slams shut, and you get the very strong feeling that it resealed behind you.
I seriously would have laughed if that was Doc Shin on the back of that dinosaur.
There's no one on the back of the dinosaur.
I know. I would have laughed if it was.
Did you say there were runes carved in the dinosaur?
Yes.
I'd like to make a nature check about the dinosaur to see if it could possibly be as old as this temple is.
Okay.
I'm going to assist him on that.
24.
Never mind. I think that should be enough.
So, you get the impression there are some lizards that just continue to grow until they die. So it is technically possible, but
Okay.
you need to know a little bit more about this specific creature to be able to get that. But it does seem like it's at least in the realm of possibility.
Wow. I would not want to tangle with something that's that old.
Agreed. Bye-bye.
So you guys are now inside of the temple. Brett already said he's got a sunrod lit, so you can see the interior of the temple has not very much damage on it, but you can see there's lots of little scrapes and cuts, mostly around like knee level and lower, as small animals and bugs and that sort of stuff have been tearing away at things. And you see that there's a slope going down, and then again there's a T intersection about 20 feet down. And that mist that's gathered around is fairly cold. So what 2 down?
I
Sirocco,
wanna.
you guys don't have to go in initiative order by any means, but Sirocco, you are up first if you wanted to do anything.
I don't know. I'm kind of stumped right now. So, do we have a direction we can travel in?
Yeah. So you guys, when you open up the door, you look down, and there's a gentle slope going down for about 20 feet,
Sure.
and then there's a T intersection with you can go either left or right at the intersection.
Oh, I see. So, okay. All right. Well, then, nobody objects. I can go take a look ahead.
Okay.
I mean, does anybody object to me scampering off to peek around the corners?
As long as you're looking for traps on the way, I'm good with it.
Can do that, sure.
Okay.
Want a thievery to detect traps?
perception to detect the traps.
Oh, right, of course. Be redone. Disarm. A 21. Wow, I thought it was a 5 for a second.
So as you go down, you can see you don't see anything that would be a trap right off, but you can see that everything here feels very very solidly built. Like, rather than having things that are very ornamental or having like archways and inlets and all that sort of stuff, everything is built like everything is made from a single piece of stone.
Oh, wow.
As you're walking down and looking on the floor and looking around the edges, you don't see any seams. It doesn't seem like there was a piece of stone that was erected and then you had a piece of stone that was placed next to it. This whole piece feels like almost like it's a cave that is carved out, but it looks just like a hallway.
It's almost like the temple is carved out of a giant single piece of rock.
Yes.
Does this rock seem... this would be, I guess, nature again. Well, I can that later. Never mind. I was going to ask if the rock seems like it's in a natural place, or this rock is unnatural for the middle of the jungle.
That would also be dungeoneering, but that is a good thing to ask other people as well, so that we can get other people in with the checks.
Yeah.
So, Red, you're up. Again, you guys do not have to be in order, so if you don't really have something you want to do, you can delay. I just want to make sure that everyone gets a chance to talk. So, Red, do you have anything you want to do? You might be muted.
I don't see anything particularly productive to do other than move through the temple.
Okay, so did you guys go left or right at the intersection? Soraka, you went first, so would you go left or right?
Yeah, I didn't pick. I just wanted to peek around each corner and see
Okay.
and look for traps on the way down.
Okay, so Red, do you want to pick a direction to go?
Let's go left, I guess.
Okay. So you go down to the left. Navarian. So as you go down the hallway to the left, you can see that it's going to get to another 90-degree turn to the right, and that there's a faint kind of bluish colored light, like a very light blue light that's coming down that from that hallway.
I will follow Red and then do an Arcana check to see if it's dangerous.
Okay. So, reaching out with your arcane senses, it feels like there's a barrier, like a blockage that prevents you from really sensing much of anything. You get the strong suspicion that if someone was a purely arcane caster, that their magic would not function within the temple. Divine power does not seem to be affected.
Alright then.
Interesting.
Brett, you're up.
Okay, so we're just all continuing down this hallway, right?
Yep, so you guys took a left, and then you went down the hallway a little bit, and you see that it's going to turn right, and there's a bit of a blue light coming from that direction.
Right, so I go and investigate what this blue light is, so I continue going forward.
Now, are you just strolling along, or are you trying to move quickly? Are you getting ahead of the group, or are you trying to move stealthily? How are you going up?
I will move stealthily.
Okay.
So do my best to be on my tiptoes.
If you're moving stealthily, you probably want to be ahead of the group.
That's true.
So you
So I'll
move
be
ahead
ahead
of the
of
group
the
and go
group.
stealthily ahead. So go ahead and give me a stealth check. So you move quickly and quietly through. I'm going to do something a little different here. So ideally, this is going to work. Let's see how this whole thing functions. So ideally, Peter, you got moved to a different map.
Yes, I got moved to a different map.
So you can see you're basically here on this map, and you can see into this room. Actually, I'll just go ahead and move everyone over to make sure, so I don't have to describe this twice. That's way easier to do it this way. So if you guys can see where Peter is, where Brett is. this room, as you kind of go around, it goes down very little bit to another slope, and then it opens up into a wide room. So you're entering kind of from the side here. You can see that there is a very shallow pool of water that is giving off a faint light. It's only about a couple of inches, maybe 3 inches deep. And in the room itself, there is a huge bowl that extends almost all the way up to the ceiling that seems to be made out of jade and has depictions of a whole bunch of things that are drawn on the side, as well as a ton more of that writing that you had seen previously. That is not in a language that you recognize. There are tiles on the floor. Some of them seem to be offset. And then around that center bowl, you can see there are a Sahuagin. So if you zoom in a little bit, you get pretty good pictures of what those guys look like. That are gathered around, and they all seem to be focused very intently, with their left hand extended towards the bowl, and their right hand is at the small of their back, and they're kneeling down, and their right hand is touching a ring of salt that goes all the way around the outside of this bowl. So you can see, and I'll try to put it on the map if I can get it to work correctly this time.
Okay, so I will. Can I stealthily go back and warn everyone, tell everyone what I've seen?
Yes, give me a second. Let me do this real quick. So it's not a very good circle because I feel like the draw tool here is really hard to use. But there's a line of salt that looks not quite like that, but kind of closer into that middle circle, more circular and less oval, around the Sahuagin, and each of them seem to be touching it, and they're speaking in a very low voice, chanting something. You can see all along the edges of the salt circle, there is corpses, like thousands upon thousands of corpses of small animals and bugs that are floating through this water, making it really, really murky and hard to see. In the center area, you can see that the water in here is very crystalline. It's very, very pure. So yes, Brett, you can go back and tell the others.
Alrighty. I'm not noticed, am I?
You're not noticed, hence the description and lack of other things happening to you.
Alrighty, cool.
So Brett returns and tells you that's what he saw. Isdom, what are you doing?
I'm right here, and let's see. Well, given what I've heard, can I do an Arcana check to try and understand if the mist that's coming from down there would have any other effects on us?
You can try to do an Arcana check to figure out what the mists are doing, yeah?
Okay, then I'll do that.
Yeah, so the elf in the village...
Are you kidding me?
Wow.
Stuck on 20. So, Amber, the elf Kale that you talked to in the village, when he talked about this place, when you asked him a couple of questions, he said that this was the temple to the demon of sea and salt. That's what he
Oh
called
yeah,
this place.
it wasn't Ember who talked to him. I assume that was it Istam will
Yeah,
have
I
told
was,
us about this.
but I managed to tell them, so I told you all what he told me, so she would know.
So, Isdom, with your, again, excellent skill checks, you can tell that there's basically 3 things that the mist is doing. The first thing the mist is doing is it's being a conduit that's being used all over the temple itself. So there is some latent magic of the temple that is being moved around with the mists. So the same sort of thing you saw on the runes on the outside of the wall, the mists also have a effect where they seal and they protect the temple itself. So the runes on the outside and the mist work together to make sure the doors stay sealed, or whatever it is that's going on with the temple stays functioning. The second thing that the mists seem to do is they do the general thing that you expect mists to do. They're going to cause cover. So anyone that is able to interact with the mists. So if there is, if it's a temple and there's like priests here, the priests will be able to call upon the mists to obscure things and cause problems. They'll probably not be affected by that, but the mists will make it very hard to see what's going on. The third thing that they seem to be doing, which right now seems to be the primary thing that they're doing, is they seem to be purifying. You can tell in the mist there are little dark specks, what seem to be matter from other creatures, as there's little bits and pieces of the creatures' corpses that are in that center room that are floating out of that main room as the mist is carrying little pieces of the bodies away. Yeah, and a gelatinous cube in mist form that is dissolving the insects and the small animals and is moving them out of the temple and sort of coalescing into this slime that is around the entrances to the temple. It does not seem like it is going to have does not seem like it is attempting to harm you at the moment. So, there's that. Anything else, Isdom?
No, I'm done.
I assume you share with the others?
Yeah, I do.
Ember, you're up.
Okay, so let's see. Since I remembered something about the sea and salt demon, I want to do a religion check to see if I would know anything about that.
Sure.
Nope. Never heard of it. Other than that, I don't have that much to do. The mist is like, what was it, a foot thick above the floor?
Now that you're down on the lower level, it's about waist deep.
Okay. In that case, probably not even worth it to see if I can, like, wing buffet it away, because there's too much of it.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of mist, and it does seem to be continuing to flow from that center chamber.
I mean, I'll ask if anyone else remembers the demon of sea and salt, and yeah, I think that's about it.
If others want to do a religion check, Yizdom, if you want to go ahead and crit that real quick, then we can get
Yeah.
that through. But in all seriousness, if other people who have religion want to use a religion check to know who the demon of salt and sea is, then you can do so, because it's a knowledge check. It's not something you have to do during your turn.
Alright.
Crickets.
Crap.
I don't have it.
I'm hoping that Isdom is still here, and John is not AFK.
I'm still here. I just gotta type this stuff out since my skill check macro has gone wonky.
John,
There
are
we
you
go.
there?
Guess he's not. Really dislike it when people just randomly AFK.
All you gotta do is say, I'm going AFK or
Yeah,
BRB.
if you say it, then that's fine.
I'm really sorry, Mother.
Make a
I'm
religion
really
check.
sorry.
Roll a 20 again on your religion check.
That is a religion check. D20 plus 8 is my religion.
Talking to
I see.
Isdom.
So, with the 14, you are not familiar with what they're talking about. And I'm just waiting for Isdom.
A religion check you want?
Please.
Yep.
And once again, 1,000 stars for AFK, and it was an emergency.
That's fine. Like I said, we don't mind if you AFK. Just say something.
Oh man, that's just like that's a 16. That's pathetic. Pulling your average down.
So, is your history the same as your religion?
Oh!
I mean, if it's the same number, then I could just use it, but...
I'm checking. Yeah, it's the same.
Okay, so, the Demon of Salt and Sea is a pretty frequent name for a god called Umberly, who is also known as the Bitch Queen. She's the god of storms.
Stop. The what?
The Bitch Queen.
Bitch queen.
Okay, I thought I heard something else.
Female dog.
So that is who is talked about for the is referenced as the Demon of Salt and Sea. Also tends to be the god worshipped by Sahuagin and other sort of creatures of the deep. It's not she tends to be fairly evil. People who worship her may not necessarily be very evil. A lot of sailors will do sort of lip service to the queen because they don't want to deal with her wrath while they're on the seas and that sort of stuff. It depends on what setting you're in. And in this one, they've got Umberlee.
Fair enough.
Interesting. Damn, that name just. Oh god, who came up with that nickname?
The bitch queen brooks no insolence.
So,
Oh,
are we establishing that this temple is dedicated to Umberlee? We established that.
What happened? If I can summarize, was that Brett scouted the middle out. There was like what appeared to be, I think, seawater and also the ring of salt. Then I remembered that Istam had told us that the elf had told him something about the demon of salt and sea. So we figured, what is the demon of salt and sea? He rolled well on his religion check and realized that it's a different name for Umberlee, the bitch queen of the seas.
Right, and so what I'm asking is, have we established that the temple was dedicated to Umberlee, or are the Sahuagin using this temple that was for somebody else, some other culture, some other religion, as a newfound place to worship their bitch queen? That's
I
what
don't think we have established that as a fact yet, no.
Okay. Does that seem likely to those of you that are religiously inclined? I didn't see any iconography we didn't see any writing of any kind that would indicate this and it seems kind of far away from the sea for this to have been originally dedicated to Umberlee, right?
You can see that on the inside, although it is looks like it's made of one piece of stone, you can still see some of those runes on the wall.
But I have no idea what language that is. Yeah, but you don't know what they mean,
but they are still there.
But there's no indication that it has anything to do with Umberlee or the sea, right?
Not that you can tell, but
right.
People might be able to get more information by looking and trying to figure out what the runes mean.
Well, I certainly am not one of those people. So I'm going to go with my previous curiosity about whether or not this rock even belongs in the jungle.
Okay.
And you said dungeoneering?
Yes.
Will be laughable then, too. Okay. Oh, wow. Lucky 21.
So, it's made of the same pretty stones that a lot of the high nobility, people that are very, very wealthy in Athos use. So it's made of a limestone, and it feels like their limestone feels a little bit, as it is somehow enchanted. So it's one big block of enchanted limestone.
But it doesn't really belong in the middle of the jungle, does it? Doesn't that seem odd?
Yep.
Okay.
Limestone, the only thing you know about limestone is that it's expensive, and part of the reason that it's expensive is because it has to be drawn from under the ground. It's not something you tend to find on the surface.
So somebody dug up an enormously huge temple-sized piece of limestone, brought it to the middle of the jungle, plopped it down, and then began carving.
Yep.
That sounds
Or,
ridiculous.
magic.
I don't know magic.
No, I mean
I know.
Magic.
The
because
bug turns
magic.
to you, I don't know magic. Okay, so we've done a lot of stuff with this. I don't want to keep going in initiative order because I know some people have things that they want to do and some people they don't. But I do want to open the floor up to what you guys want to do from here. You guys have gotten a little bit of information. You can try to get some more information, or you can try to figure out what exactly the plan is going to be for interacting with that center room. So what I'm going to do first is say, what are you guys thinking about doing about going down into the temple, or are you guys going to try to get more information first? So option A is go down into the interior. Option B is try to figure more stuff out. So A for going down, B for staying here and figuring more stuff out.
I want to send my panther down there. They could just pass it off as being something lured in by the shouting rocks.
Can I convince anyone with skills that are appropriate to figure out more about the runes, and then I'm all for
I've got
bashing?
religion.
I've
got religion and
hey guys,
arcana.
I'll
step back
go.
real quick.
Which one? Do you have
Pause.
religion trained?
Stop talking. DM
Sorry.
wants to say something.
So, the question I am asking is not to your characters. I'm not asking your characters what they're doing. I'm asking you guys as players, when you are making a choice of what the group wants to do, what is the group trying to do? Is the group going to go down into the middle to see what's going on, or is the group going to stay here and try to figure more stuff out? Because yes, there's going to be some differentiation on the characters, but I'm trying to get a group decision so we can go to the next part and kind of continue the discussion.
I'll still say A because I don't really have anything to contribute to gathering more information.
Okay.
I'll say stay down here as well.
I would like to get more information before we go down there.
Okay, so that's 4 votes for stay. So the people that have more information stuff that they want to get, let me know what you want to do. I'm just going to kind of really quickly go through things. Navarian, it sounded like you wanted to do something, possibly send your Panther down?
Yeah. It's possible they can just pass the Panther off as something lured in by the talking stone things.
Okay, so what instructions do you give your Panther?
Go down. If they attack, come back.
Okay, so your Panther kind of prowls down the hallway, looks into the room, slowly prowls around the edge, looks a little hungrily down at one of the like small animals, like a rabbit or something that got trapped in this whole process. Kind of bats it around with its feet, decides that it's too dead for it to mess with, and then slowly makes its way back up to you. The Sahuagin didn't seem to pay much attention to the Panther.
Alright, so possibly not evil people.
Alright then. So, Brett, did you have anything you want to do, or am I going to skip you? Three, two, one, next.
No.
Isdom, go ahead.
Alright, then. I'm gonna. Navarian, would you rather do an Arcana or a Religion check? Oh, well, it doesn't matter. So I'll throw an Arcana check to kind of see if I can get more information from the runes.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and help him.
So, what exactly are you doing? So, you're trying to use your
Okay.
Arcana, but what is the description? What does it look like?
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go for that. I'm gonna get close. I'm gonna gently touch the wall and kind of draw into my hand softly without going too deep as to not burn myself again the magical essences of the runes and try to identify what the heck they're doing, or if they have some special effect on anybody inside or on any kind of skill. Just their most powerful effects.
Okay. So, you push a little bit of power into the wall, and do you want to give me an assist, Hekiaris? So that was successful assist. You push a little bit of power into the wall, and then once you do, you see the power spreading out, and Gene, unkey your mic, please.
Sorry.
It's fine. You see the power spreading out along the wall, and you start to notice something a little different. Normally when you see runes, and you see writing, you see things that are like this, it tends to be in a ritual form, or maybe a story form, like prose. The more that you're able to see this, the more you're able to realize that the way that it is formatted, even though you don't know what the language says, it's written very specifically. It's written and broken into pieces, like broken into chapters if it was a normal story, but the way that it's written also makes you feel like there's something else going on here with the specific sections, as each of the different sections has different clusters of the same symbol repeated over and over again. So you'll see one section that'll have a symbol that looks a little bit like a cloud and a little bit like a lightning bolt, and that section has that symbol a whole bunch of times all over it. You look at a different section, and that symbol is not present anywhere on this section, but instead it shows a symbol of a hammer with a shield on it, a shield next to it. And then the next section shows another thing that has, again, a different set of symbols, but each one of the pieces, the writing that isn't those symbols looks very, very similar. So it looks like the same thing written dozens, if not hundreds of times, with slight variations on this one symbol that gets repeated all the time. Did that make sense, or do you guys have questions for what I'm trying to say?
It makes sense. I understand it. Well, I don't understand what exactly the effect is, but given that it says hammer and a shield, I'm guessing I'm guessing it has something to do with some kind of either cleric or some type of defense.
Or dwarves.
Or dwarves. Yeah, that too. Oh, well, now we know what this scripture is. Dwarven.
That is only one symbol out of possibly hundreds, so that's might not be correct.
And if you go through the wall, you can see it continues to repeat as far as you guys go down the wall that has the same writing, or the same kind of block of text that then has the just different symbols. So there's, going down the hallway, there's dozens of different sets of these symbols on the walls.
But the ones repeated are claw and lightning, eye and moon, and hammer and shield.
Those are the ones that aren't repeated. So
Okay.
when you see it, all of the words on, so if you take two of the sections and put them next to each other, all of the letters and all the symbols seem to be identical, except for one section. So part one will have cloud and lightning, and then part two, every place the cloud and lightning was, will have eye and moon. And then the next one will have, every place will be identical, but where it says eye and moon, it will instead say hammer and shield.
Okay, I think I get it. That's interesting.
So, I did remove some people that didn't say they had anything to do. If you have another thing to do, I'll add you back to initiative. So, Ember, do you have any
Nope,
contributions?
skippy to do.
Sorelka, do you have anything you want to do?
I want to touch the hammer and shield icons.
Okay.
Can I interact with them in any way?
So you touch the hammer and shield icons, and you get a little sense of tingling on your on your fingertips, on the ends of your chitinous claws.
Okay. Report that bag. There's some power here that you can interact with, guys. Good for me.
Cool. Navarian.
I will search for any symbols that are nature related and then attempt to pray to Melora to see if I can interact with it from that way. Like some kind of divine section of these symbols.
Okay. Give me a religion check, please.
Okay.
So you bow your head and say a prayer to the goddess of the wilderness, to the natures and the seas, and you see down the hallway one of the blocks of writing light up, and you can see on that block of writing, it's the same as all the others, but instead of having cloud and lightning or anything like that, it has a tree and a water droplet.
Oh.
Okay, so possibly each block of writing represents a different god or goddess. So, I don't know.
Alright. Well, I'll wait for my turn.
So, and again, we're not really in great initiative order. If people want to interact, they can do so, because we've got a couple people on initiative.
Then, seeing that, I'll go to the eye and the moon, because that's Sani and that's my goddess. And since I was sent from her, I'll probably have some good connections. So I'll lightly touch it and utter a very silent prayer and kind of ask her to please show me what it is that these runes mean. Maybe from some divine intervention from her.
Okay, so give me a religion check. So when you go to the one that has the eye and the moon, and you kind of touch your fingers against the section where it has eye and moon, you hear a woman's voice say in your head the words Sehanin, and as you pray to your goddess, the whole section of the wall lights up. And as you try to focus on what this might mean and what's in the wall, you don't get a reading of what the words say, but you get this very, very potent feeling of protection and everything around you. And then when you kind of put your hand against the wall where it says her name the most, and right where you had touched it, where it said her name in your head, it says, I, Sehanin, pray to be the one that holds the wall, the bulwark against the darkness. And you get the sense of this place being one stone in a wall.
Okay, I immediately tell everyone that this temple is some kind of, shall we say, jail for something big, something that even the gods don't want to come out.
So that's
Oh,
the phrasing.
all right. So chances are guys down at the bottom are not friendly. I'm gonna go with option A now. Go down and whack some heads. Take me off the list, please.
So you can also tell that right next to, once you run your fingers over it, you can figure out, like, if you run your fingers over one of the letters or one of the symbols, it gives you the name. You can see the one next to it, Cloud and Lightning. When you run your finger against it, it's Umberly.
That's one of the ones that's not repeated.
That's one of the ones that is repeated. So there's effectively a big contract that's in front of you that has Sehanin's name placed into different spots in the contract. And then right next to Sehanin is another one that is the same contract, where it likely says, I, Umberly, pray to be worthy to be a stone against the darkness.
I'm a devout follower of the Traveler, and I'm going to look for any tablet, or I guess it's not a tablet, but section of the wall that refers to the Traveler, and try to interact with that by doing what I think the Traveler would wish, and that's for a stranger to come and create a change to that iconography.
So as you start to look around and start to think about the Traveler and that sort of stuff, you notice that all around you, where people who had been doing prayers and been doing something to invoke a particular deity, that had lit up one of the sections of the wall. When you do it, none of the sections of the wall light up, but the lines, the borders between every section in the room, it brightens up, and you see a crisscross, like a grid of white light extending all the way down the hallway. With that turned on, you can see perfectly clearly in the hallway now.
Wow.
Hey guys, look what I did.
It seems that your god has something to do with this temple, even more than anybody else.
So
really? You think?
So looking around, you can not find a particular tablet that has the Traveler's symbols on it, but everywhere you go and you kind of think about the Traveler, the lights in that area that are between the different sections of writing turn on.
If I stop thinking of the Traveler, does it turn off again?
Yes.
All right, I don't want to give our position away, so I'll stop thinking about it. I don't want the Sulligan to know that we're here. Definitely try to keep that in mind. I am ready to proceed unless anybody else has any other ideas for this area.
I'm ready to proceed, but before proceeding, I'll try once more to try and read even deeper into the contract while praying to Sani. Maybe I can find something else, because if I can get any information for whatever it is that they're trying to block away, all the better. And I'm going to ask the spirits that are in the stone itself to assist me with the spirits.
Go ahead.
Wow. Somehow I knew that was going to happen. That's an 18.
So 18 is moderate DC, which is enough to read one of your tablets that you're aligned to. You get that series. I, Sahanin, will support and protect the Watcher as much as my nature will allow, in a way of my choosing and place.
When I see Isdam focusing on a section of the wall to read, I'd like to think of the Traveler and focus on that area of the wall as well to see if it will light up the runes in any way to assist him.
The short answer is yes, it does. It
Okay.
lights up the whole set of walls. The problem is not necessarily seeing the runes, it's trying to understand them. And as you run your hand across it, it seems to be speaking in a woman's voice inside of your head.
in a language I understand. Or no?
So Yizdam is the one that can, when he does it, it goes to his head, and
Okay.
Yizdam, it seems to be in your native tongue.
All right.
Like not only is it spoken in a language that you understand, it sounds like it's you speaking with a woman's voice.
So another idea that dawned on me then, I'd like to think towards one of these writings, and I will again invoke the thought of the traveler and his domain of change. We'll see if I can mentally cause the language to change to one I can read.
Okay.
That's actually really smart.
So this is going to be some sort of charisma check. I would say
Okay.
diplomacy would be the easy answer, or you can use a power check. So power checks are nature, arcana, or religion.
I would like to use bluff since I have no idea what I'm doing. But
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
I'm gonna disguise this wall as the language I can read.
Oh man,
I knew that was coming. Like,
that sucks so hard. I so wanted to figure this out. Oh well.
And that was such a good explanation too.
So what I will say is that it does occur. So while you're tinkering, while Isdam is messing with one of the tablets, you're next to him, and you tinker with one of the other tablets, and you guys can tell the writing on the wall drastically changes. Completely changes languages. Now, it doesn't actually change to a language that you know what it is, Sorelka, but it does change languages, and I'm going to kind of randomly determine what language and see if anyone knows it.
Hopefully we do.
Well, we do
that makes
know.
sense for me to look up.
I would have changed to Thrycreen, and the rest of you would have looked at me like, "Thanks a lot."
So, the language changes. Some of the symbols look very similar, but the way that it's written, the language before you change it is very flowing. These kind of each of these symbols that are very intricate. It is a very pretty language, a very artistic language. The language that it changes to looks like it shares some similarity between the two, but it is every place where it's very flowing, very pretty, very artistic, changes to be very harsh. Looks like it's just beaten into the wall. It has jagged edges with very strong-looking strokes that go through it, where it looks like, while one of them might have been made, with a calligraphy pen and very daintily painted on the wall, this one was made like with an axe and just beaten into the wall.
I'm gonna go with some kind of orcish or trollish language. I don't know what they speak, though.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Giant?
I think it's
Is
giant.
what they speak?
They speak giant.
Brett speaks giant.
It is not in giant.
Yeah. So.
So it's not something we know. Okay, but upon seeing that, Isam gets the idea to try the same, and we'll use Arcana to do it.
Okay.
Really? What the hell?
Random language again?
Yeah, random language again. Give me a second. I don't know if anyone has this one either. Okay, so you can recognize the alphabet, you cannot recognize the language. Those of you who can speak Elven recognize the alphabet that it's using, but can't recognize what the words actually say.
Well, at least can I read the alphabet little by little? Maybe it'll make sense reading it slowly.
You can try to use an insight check to figure out what it is.
All right. Wow, a 2.
Does someone want to assist him to help out to see if he can get to moderate DC?
I'm gonna cry.
Sure.
I
I
thought
will
16
assist
was
as
medium
well.
for the AL.
Is it? Am I misremembering? I thought it was 18.
12, 16, 24, right?
Oh, so yeah,
Yep,
16's enough.
16 is medium. Never mind.
No. Yeah, we're playing it at 8, not 10. Right. So that's my bad. I was thinking it was AL 10. So you can kind of piece together the stuff. It's apparently written in deep speech. Excuse me. So it's kind of hard to figure out exactly what it's saying, but as you go along, you start to recognize that there is another name that's on this contract. And as you read more and more of it, you're able to see that that's what this is. Near the center section, there is a name that some of you may recognize.
The deep speech, that is.
So you recognize that name in the middle. She seems to be the one that has created this contract. And everything about it talks about her being the one officiating the contract. And the contract itself is each god going through each little section is individually swearing by the Accords, the Unseelie Accords, and by the Dawn Treaty to protect and defend, to be a stone in the wall against the darkness, and to act within their nature.
So either something really bad is being held in here, or this is supposed to protect stuff from things that are really bad.
Agreed.
You also get the impression that this entire complex is one small piece to a much greater puzzle. And everything that it's talking about, you'll also be able to get, it's talking about the outside. While you can't really get the translation between Deep Speech and Elven, it says the outside in a lot of places in the contract.
Then at least we know.
Then we should head down. Maybe we can activate it. Because if they're here... Wait, does the part of the... was it the...
The thing, Jean, that I'm seeing is that Umberly is part of the contract. So as far as we know, the Salgan are doing nothing wrong.
Yeah, I was thinking the same. So, you think we can talk to the man sharks and they'll let us through?
Now, the only question is, would we actually understand anything that they say?
Yeah.
I don't know what language they speak.
Can we roll like a nature check to know if they usually speak common or draconic or something?
Yeah, it would be a monster knowledge check.
Failure.
They are natural creatures, so it is nature.
Failed.
I can
no idea what language they
assist.
speak.
Wow! I guess I'm getting the bill for the 20s from before.
Yeah, you're getting the other side of that D20.
That's karma.
So,
Yep.
3 of you at least have no idea what language they speak.
I guess it requires a hard DC.
So, it does not require hard DC, it requires moderate. But
And then
it's,
16 is moderate.
it's moderate for the creature's level, not for you for the adventure level.
Oh, fair enough.
So, the 18 is enough for you to know. So, who again? Some of them do speak common, but their native language is Abyssal.
Anybody here know Abyssal? I don't think we do.
That is one of the difficult ones to get.
It is one of the hardest ones to get. So,
That and Supernal, those are the two that really have a tough time.
Alright, any volunteers to go down and attempt to talk to them?
Sure.
Alright.
So, it sounds
We'll
like we're
try-
heading downstairs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's try.
we'll try the diplomatic approach first.
If you'll cue me at the dramatic moment, I'll make the room light up with my thoughts of the traveler.
I'm not actually moving you guys that far into the room. I'm just getting everyone on the map.
Red does not look happy about this course of action.
Huh? Who?
Red.
So you guys head down into the area. Again, the water is, basically goes to the top of your boots, but doesn't go much further. And you can see the Sahuagin have not moved at all from people moving forward, but you can see that the mist is getting thicker down here, and more of the sort of murkiness in the water and the dead animals seems to be floating a little bit heavier. So the mist itself is kind of, rather than being that pure white color, it's kind of a dark grayish color as it's flowing past you and up and out of the central part of the temple.
Well, that was unexpected.
All right. So who volunteered to go and try and talk to them?
I did. I'll take a step / fly forward unless anyone else wants to. I'm not crossing the salt circle yet, though.
Okay.
And then I'll try and get their attention by waving at them and saying standard greeting phrases in the languages I speak, which is Common, Draconic, and Primordial.
So as you start talking and kind of waving, they seem to be paying very close attention to whatever it is that they're doing. And then one of them notices that you're saying something, and the one on the far side, so this one who's actually in the wrong square, let's fix that. This guy that's way back here notices that you're there, says something in a very harsh language, and the others sort of hunker down. You see them, the look on their face like they're going through more exertion, as this one straightens itself and then grabs hold of a trident that's laying in the water in front of him and looks towards you and kind of turns its head. It very clearly does not seem to understand what you're saying, and he slowly walks around the side to where he can see you more clearly around the bowl.
All right, I'll wait for him to move and I guess repeat the standard phrases of greeting more slowly.
So when you go through the common one, it kind of waves its hand that doesn't have the trident in it, and then it kind of says in this really gargling, sort of bubbling voice, "What language?" And then it says a bunch of things in a different language that no one understands.
Common?
Common, dirty, language bad.
Try Draconic?
I've tried all the ones I can.
So he effectively seems to understand at least some of what you're saying, but his common is even worse than Duckshin's common.
Right.
Okay, so can I try and make it and try and speak them in Elven, see if they would prefer that?
So yeah, you can do that. And he doesn't seem to be able to respond to you in Elven.
Ember, can you see if he understands the term friend or enemy?
That is a good thing to ask. Yes. So I will ask him that. I will also ask them, or him rather, if they heard the rumbling from before, the giant heads.
So you see,
Like, did they hear that stopped or something? I don't know. I mean, it's been like quite a while because we took a short rest and then we've been faffing about here for quite a bit. It feels like.
Yeah, it's probably been about an hour since you guys first got the voices to go away, and you see him tilt his head to the side like he's trying to figure out what you're saying, and his lips draw back and show these rows upon rows of really sharp teeth, and he goes, "Voice bad, attack temple. You have voice."
We kill voice.
Good one.
So he makes a weird sort of fish-like motion, like if you imagine what a fish looks like when it swims, where their whole body kind of moves as one kind of curl. He does that, which looks really weird when he's not in the water. And he makes this weird sort of hissing sound, which takes you a second to realize that he's laughing.
Well, this is either gonna go really well for us or really bad for us.
If someone had a comprehend language this whole time, I'm gonna laugh my ass off.
No kidding, man.
No, I do not have comprehend languages.
Yeah, I asked the variant because he's someone with rituals, but no, he doesn't. So that's
the only rituals I have are Hand of Fate and Comrade Succor.
I'd like to slowly start to move towards one of these other exits, but I want to watch the Saligan that's speaking with Ember, and if they react negatively, I'll stop moving. Otherwise, I want to go see what's in the next chamber.
He looks like he's very pointedly watching you out of the corner of his eye, and sort of watching how close you get to the circle of salt. If you stay along the corner, he doesn't seem like he's going to be bothered for you.
Great, and I just want to see what my goal is. Just I want to see if there's another chamber that's dedicated. So I'm assuming this is dedicated to Umberly, this chamber, and I want to see if there's another chamber that's dedicated to another deity.
So what you can tell is from the chamber that you're in right now, all of these doors, all these entrances are on slight slopes going up. So it's kind of hard to visualize, but like when you enter into the top of the temple, right, you go up the steps and then you enter into the top of the temple. There's some rooms up there, but there's several passageways that lead down into the belly of the temple. All 4 of these lead up to the hallways that are at the top of the temple where you guys started. So all 4 of these hallways go up.
Oh, okay.
So basically, this is the center of the temple for now.
Correct.
All right, so we could have come down here from any of the directions.
Correct.
Okay.
So, since we're speaking in the simplest of common, I will ask him if he knows who was voice.
So he sits and thinks. No word. No name. Has bad. You see, he looks like he's struggling at the edge of his ability to kind of do this. And he stares at everyone else, and then keeps trying to say things in a different language. It looks like he's kind of like either surprised or pissed off that no one can speak the language that he wants to talk in.
I think I understand who he might be speaking to, but I'd rather not utter his name. The last time I did, I got in trouble.
So, Isdam and Ember, both of you guys, as he continues to speak in that language, you can catch maybe 1 word out of 5 or 6.
Well, that's better than nothing.
Red, you can catch a couple of common words like, this and the.
Doesn't sound super helpful.
So he's speaking something that's at least close to one of the languages that you know.
So something similar to Primordial?
Yes.
Is it a dialect of Primordial?
Either that or it's something close enough that it shares some of the same structure.
Well, that's
Can
like
I
Abyssal,
insight
right?
to
Or
try and
Supernal?
figure out what exactly it is?
Yeah, I'm gonna do the same as her.
So the short version you get is that both Primordial and Abyssal are written in the same script and use some of the same formats. So
Okay.
if he keeps talking to you and you can't keep trying to figure out, you might be able to use Primordial as a way to get closer to figure out what you're saying, or you can keep trying to speak in the broken common. Both of those work. So what I'm trying to say is, if you wanted to speak, and I will translate exactly what you're saying to what this guy wants to say, and then it will translate back in common, we could do that. Or if you wanted to devote skill checks to it and say, all right, well, I'm going to use Primordial as sort of a middle language to translate what we're doing here, then you can do skill checks to try to see if you can properly translate it from Primordial into Abyssal when you're talking to him.
I'm not so good at the mental skills checks thing, so...
Okay, I'll try it then. I have Primordial now. I should be able to use Insight to kind of translate between all of us so we can all understand each other.
Yeah, I think he'd be happier with us speaking to him in Broken Primordial than he would be in Broken Common.
So there. Oh, yay! I'm out of my one phase.
So, Sibelka, you can tell that the water is very clearly seawater. It doesn't need... You don't really need a check for that. Not only is it clearly salt water, when you lift your foot out of the water very slightly, your foot is covered in a glaze, like it's covered in a layer of salt, so it's extremely salty salt water. So you can kind of work. What are you going to try to say to him in Primordial?
I'll talk as slowly and as broken as I can so he can follow me, telling him, we allies destroyed stones that make noise. We friends want to know purpose of temple.
So he follows along, nodding his head, and then says back in Abyssal, "We keepers protect temple for watcher. Masters come for temple." So he said, we are protectors of the temple, and the masters are coming for the temple.
The masters of the islands, I will interject.
I
If I
translate.
can, do I need to roll insight to
No,
like?
it's fine. The Sahuagin just nods.
These masters guys seem like bad news.
What Ethan begins again. What masters want with temple?
You can see him kind of think. He says a bunch of stuff, and then it doesn't really translate barely at all into primordial, and he realizes that you're not understanding it. And then he pauses again. He thinks about another way to try to say what he's saying, and then goes, "Masters, not their masters." And then he kind of thinks about it, like he's like, "That's not exactly what I want to say." Masters have bigger masters. Masters no longer think. Bigger masters. And then you see him kind of sit there and look around. And then he shakes his head. Can no name.
I nod at him and ask, "Can talk to masters?"
So he kind of has that same sort of expression where his lips curl up around his teeth, and he says, "All talk to masters happens in water after death." And he kind of gnashes his teeth around.
I think he means their goddess, and I don't think we can talk to her. Yeah.
Not unless one of us wants to die, anyway.
So as you guys are standing here having this conversation, and also because you guys went down here beforehand and then kind of came back away, you can tell that the circle of salt is now slightly bigger than it was before. And as you guys are continuing to talk, it's very, very slowly expanding. And you can see that the little corpses and things that are being gathered up by the mist are kind of dissolving away from the center and being pushed against the walls.
Ask about the salt, maybe?
Okay, I'll try that, because I'm getting scared of that. Salt, what do will hurt us?
User was moved out of your channel.
So the Sahuagin takes his hand and kind of brushes over the top of the circle of salt, and you can see in the salt crystals a bunch of symbols kind of appear. And while you don't recognize the language, the way that it is formatted and the way that it is here, you can tell that it's a magic circle. So it's a thing that seems to be binding whatever's outside from getting inside. It's a very, very low-level magic circle, and it also seems to have some sort of cleansing effect. As you can see, as the salt continues to expand outward and pass, it's purifying the water.
Okay, so Ember, Brett, and Sorelka, you may want to get away from the wall, otherwise it might push you against it if you stand there for too long.
Yeah, I mean, he said it was really slowly expanding, so of course we'll step away as it does.
Yeah, at the rate that it's going, it's probably going to take another several hours to make it to the outer wall. It's very slow. You can also tell from sitting here talking that the four Sahuagin that are doing whatever it is they're doing with the salt look completely exhausted.
Alright, so this is for our party here. Do we help them? Or do we just leave them be? Because I'm sure we can go and help them a bit with skill checks and stuff.
I'm inclined to be of assistance, but I'm worried that the masters of the masters are on the way here. The only thing I don't know is whether or not that dinosaur would stomp them.
Second
I'm
answer,
also inclined to help them, actually.
I'm probably gonna guess that the dinosaur won't stand any chance from the vibe I'm getting a bigger master.
Yeah,
Well,
same here.
If the dinosaur
You're probably
doesn't,
right.
if the
I
dinosaur,
If I may interrupt, I want to ask the shark man one more question.
Okay.
And unless anyone else has anything else to talk to him, I will say one more question to him. First of all, and then I will say heads fled northeast. Was it?
Yes.
Yeah, it was northeast.
Do you know what's there? To where?
He sits. He kind of listens to a second, has you repeat it again, and then says, "Dead Watcher. That way." And then he taps the side of his head.
So, Dead Watcher is that way, I think. Probably.
So when you repeat it, he makes a snarling sound and says, "Not Watcher. The Watcher."
I bow my head and apologize. Even though I'm sure he has no idea what I'm saying.
You seem to understand at least the word Watcher when you said it.
Yeah, I know.
So, Sorelka, you had something you wanted to do?
oh, I was just actually saying that if they don't think, I mean, somebody was saying they didn't think the dinosaur would stand a chance against the master of the masters. If the dinosaur doesn't stand a chance, we don't. I'm dying to fix that tile that's loose. That's driving me crazy. Otherwise, I'm for helping these guys if we can figure out a way to help them. And if not, then I'm for actually trying to leave the temple and go in the direction that the stone heads went.
Given that, given what you just said, I'm gonna try and intercede with them. First, do you wish assistance with ritual?
So he makes that weird sort of swimming motion again, and then says, "Ritual. This word do not understand. But help. This word understand." And then he gestures to the area around him, and then says a word that you don't really get. And then he points to the area outside of the circle, and then says a different word that sounds very similar that you also don't get, but it's not the same word. And then he points at you and points to the outside of the circle.
Okay, I shake my head and says, "Easier word, please."
He thinks about it for a second, points to and kind of cups up a little water in his hand, and says, "Not dirty." And then he splashes it out and points to the water outside. "Dirty."
So, he wants us to help him purify the water.
Yeah.
Or he thinks we need to be purified because we're in the outside of the circle.
Okay.
Also a possibility.
Also a possibility. Okay, I'll ask him. May I enter, help clean water outside?
So as soon as you say the word enter, he does that little squiggly motion again and bares his teeth and just says no. They just interrupts you while you're talking.
Okay. And I say, "Forgive. We leave now."
So basically, he just said no, you can't enter the circle. So not no, he doesn't want help. Just
Yeah,
no,
but
you're not allowed to enter the circle.
I'd rather not be outside the circle when it hits me. I don't know what it'll do, so.
How about we clean water?
So he looks and kind of looks over towards you and then nods his head.
Okay. So, anyone have anything to clean water?
Well, try a nature check, see if that helps.
I mean, if you guys make the decision to help them clean the water, there's debris, there's corpses, there's bugs, there's small animals. It's not very difficult to take a lot of the debris out of the water. So there's really not going to be any checks associated with it. If you decide, I pull all the corpses out of the water. It's going to take you a little while, but you can just do it.
All right,
Okay.
then. Shall we?
Let's.
All right, yeah.
Yeah,
Sure, why
let's
not?
do it. Yeah.
So you start cleaning the inside of the temple, and as you start pulling more and more stuff out of the water, you notice the light in the center of the circle starts to get more and more kind of that bright bluish white, and it starts to refract off of that huge jade bowl in the center of the room. And as it continues to get kind of brighter and brighter in the room, you can see that the Sahuagin, the ones that are kneeling, dealing with the ritual, are looking more and more healthy. They look less and less taxed by what's going on. I mean, you can tell that the act of sort of corrupting the water that they were using was harming them. And as they finish removing it, you can see the circle doesn't expand any further because they're not trying to purify the room. But once you get to where the room is mostly clear, the one that you were talking to will turn to you and say, "Out of water, need salt," and kind of gesture towards the entrance.
All right.
Very well.
And then as you do, the other four stand up. They raise their hand. You see the little ring of salt raise up a little bit and then expand very rapidly to wash over the walls, and then settle back down as the entire interior of the room is cleared. The Sahuagin go back over towards the one that was off his place, goes back to where his place was on the side of the bowl, and then says, in that same sort of language, a bunch of things, and then they all repeat the same word several times, which you can recognize as, after they say it a couple of times, it sounds like Umberly, but it's just slightly off because it's in a different language and they say it a little differently. But you can recognize the word. And as the power, like, you can sense some power coming from them, goes into that center bowl, you see this wave of ice flow out from the center bowl as the entire interior of the temple just gets covered in a giant block of ice. I need an endurance check from every player, please.
Okay.
Does having a resist cold help with this at all?
It does indeed. So I will give you some things. So if you have a power with a cold or radiant keyword, you will get a +2 to the check. If you have resist 5 or more of cold or radiant, you get a +5 to the check. That is not cumulative. So if you've got a resist 5 cold, you will get the +5. You will not get an additional +2 for having a cold keyword word. A cold keyword power.
Point for me.
You said radiant, right?
Yeah, I have
Cold
resist
or
radiant, so I should be fine.
Go for
So-
it.
So that's going to be 31 for my check.
And for my be 20.
So consult the following chart and let me know what you have going on.
Ooh, just made a healing surge loss.
Apparently I feel a little sluggish.
Succeeded at DC 20.
Yeah, tell me.
So
I
that's
make
only lose one healing surge.
one healing surge loss. That's pretty good considering the alternative.
So did anyone go get knocked unconscious? Did anyone get DC 14 or lower?
I'll roll once my mouse works again. For some
Alright.
reason. There we go.
Nice.
Nice.
So when that happens, you see the surface of the water freeze over, and you see an image appear above it of this.
Oh, that looks friendly.
Oh, hey, it's this guy.
Yeah, that looks very friendly. Hopefully it is.
So
It
you
feels
see
good with fewer.
the face is huge, and it looks like it's from a decent way off. And it looks around. You see all the Sahuagin are just covered in, or just stuck in blocks of ice. They're all unconscious. And it looks around, and you hear this this very kind of raspy voice from a long way off call out and goes, "Ah, excellent people that are very mortal. It is good to see that the story is beginning." And you see the head very, very slightly give you a nod.
Story? What do you mean, goddess? If I'm correct, of course.
So you hear a little bit of chuckling from the mask. "Ah, not goddess. Never goddess. No matter
Forgive.
what name they give me, no matter what story they tell, they never make me female.
Then forgive my foolishness.
So he says, he again, you can see the sides of the mask sort of curl up, like he's possibly smiling underneath the mask, and says, "It is time, I believe, for introductions. The act is already opening." And then he nods his head. "In this place I must go first, but a name I cannot give you. They call me the Walker of Ways, the Wearer of Masks, the Storyteller, and the Father of Lies." And he bows his head very slightly to you.
That's all sounding very familiar to me.
Sorelka, you know most of those names for the Traveler.
Yeah. I'm just going to bow, and I'm going to completely prostrate myself, I believe.
So he kind of looks over towards you and says, "Ah, Sarelka, you go so far to come back to where you start."
I'll just bow my head slightly, because I have no idea what his affiliation with my god is, honestly.
So
Same, basically.
he looks around and then says, This place was corrupted, under attack. You have stopped it, gained allies," he gestures towards the Sahuagin, "and many, many enemies. A good story indeed. You should be rewarded." And he kind of floats back away from the big jade bowl that he's around, and you see the bowl kind of meld and tip down. The bowl doesn't really move so much as the jade just sort of flows out of the way, and the interior of the jade bowl flows out with water that kind of fills up a little bit more of the room, to where it gets to be, a couple inches, like 6 inches deep instead of like 3. And you see just a flow of money and magical items just cascade out of the tub.
I immediately ask him, forgive if I do not sound appreciative of such rewards. Could you explain a little more of what is happening? My mind cannot comprehend.
So he nods and says, "Yes, yes. It is too early for you to know the whole story. It would be painful, possibly lethal, to know such things. But you have begun down the path, started to see where it is we go when the night is darkest, started to see what there is out there, outside, making its way in. You have started to know of." And then for everyone else, he just sort of skips a beat, like doesn't say anything. I think only Isdim has the story word. Does anyone have the story word? What's in a name? Adversary, or what's in a name? Nemesis, I think is.
Other
Nope.
character.
I believe I have that actually.
I think somebody else that was with me then. I don't remember who, but I think someone here was there with me.
It was Ishtar, not Red.
So Isdim, you hear him say the word Nemesis.
And as soon as they don't hear, but as soon as I hear that word, I immediately flinch, grab.
You cut out.
As soon as I heard that, I start to kind of tense up really darkly, and I hold my spear, grasping it like I'm about to break it. And even Beanie starts to swirl around me, a little enraged.
You see his eyes twinkle very brightly as he goes, one of you already knows enough to be afraid. Good, good. I give you a choice, little ones. You can choose to be active participants and go with my blessing out into the world to continue the story. Or you may take those things that have been brought here as offerings and use them as you will. And kind of gestures down, well, it doesn't gesture, just kind of nods down towards the stack of loot. So I'm going to take a step back from the roleplay and say, in mechanical terms, he is offering you either to take an item from the treasure trove, or you can choose to take his blessing.
What would his blessing be?
Don't know yet.
So we know neither the items nor the blessing in this decision?
You can tell that the items that are there before him look pretty potent. So, I mean, they're going to be decent magical items.
I look at him and say, I will get power on my own term, your liege. But a blessing to destroy that wretched creature will be more than anything you can offer.
Okay. So, I do not have this loaded up, but so he goes and nods his head and says something to you. And then you see a symbol appear somewhere on your body. Now, you can make the symbol appear wherever you would like it to be, and it's going to be a single word. So it's going to be roughly the size of a walnut somewhere on your body. As his blessing settles over top of you, I will link into chat what the blessing does, but I need for you to roll me a 1d100.
Is
Nope.
that for everybody
Sorry.
who's taking? Is that for everybody who's taking the blessing?
I'm getting it for him because he chose to chose to take the blessing, and so everyone else will know what it does. So when you make the choice, you can choose to either take this or something else.
It's my God. There's no way I wouldn't take a blessing.
It's like he's taking it regardless.
So that is the primary effect. And then this your power word. Let me look this up.
4 others. Someone is going to be sad.
Yeah, that's funny.
It's probably me.
So your word is power word hope.
Wow, that's. I'm sorry, really proud of myself for that one. So that will go to my
So
what's the
this secret is an alternative reward. So it has that property in place, and yours also has the power word hope. When you gain an alternative reward in the living campaign, there are 2 things that you need to remember. The first thing is you have to write down what level you attained the reward at. It lasts for 5 levels after that. So if you're currently level 9, it will go away once you hit level 15, because it'll be 9 through 14 you'll have it active, and then as soon as you hit level 15, it will deactivate and it'll go away. You can also only have 1 alternative reward active in the campaign at any particular time. That doesn't mean you can only have 1 in existence, just 1 is active. So if you have the Wanderer's Secret here, and then later you get a different alternative reward, you choose, when you start the adventure, which alternative reward you're going to gain the benefit of. Does that make sense?
Yeah, does this go in campaign awards, if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken? Okay.
Yes, this is going to be. And there will be a story award with it at the end of the session, but you will gain this, and you have
User
power
was
word
moved out of your channel.
So, since Yizden went first, I am
User
probably going to
joined
just go
your
to
channel.
Sorelka next and go for top to bottom if anyone wants to keep it. So, Sorelka, you know what the base does. Give me a D100 for what your power word is. I know this one. This is power word silver.
I was really hoping for change. Get hope and change. Sucks. Oh.
The
Like
not
total
moving thing.
opposite of my character.
Yeah. The not moving thing is kind of sad.
Very, very traveler.
Red, are you taking the blessing or are you taking an item?
Can you ask me for a bit?
Sure. Brett.
I'll take an item.
Okay. Ember.
Taking an item.
Okay. And Varian.
I'll take a blessing.
Okay, give me a 1d100. 28.
Larry, do we record our level right now, or do we record our level at the end of the session?
Your level at the end of the session.
Okay.
Okay, so that'll probably be 6 for me then.
Oh. I promise I'm not making this up.
I'm assuming I got like the shittiest one
Yeah, I was
ever
gonna
or
say,
the
that
best
doesn't-
one ever.
That doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
Power word change.
Oh, sweet.
Lols.
Okay, I have no idea what either of those properties
I will so
are.
trade you. I will so trade you. Oh man, that's so awesome.
If you want to do it, because I think the Traveler would find it entertaining, I would not have a problem with you two switching keywords.
So dynamic weapons can turn into any kind of weapon, and imposter armor, I believe, lets you change what your armor looks like on the outside. I don't think mechanically it does much at all, but I just mean from a story perspective, that's so awesome.
It lets you change to normal clothes, and it gives you a bonus to bluff checks to disguise, which is probably relevant to you as well.
Alright, this blessing isn't really relevant to me, so what was yours again?
Mine's the one right above silver. You would be able to turn into a silver statue that's easy to hit, but has 20 resist to all damage. Immune to cold.
When you get ganged up on, you get to not die horribly sometimes.
Oh, but that's only triggers when I take fire necrotic, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very, very.
It triggers when you take the 2 most common enemy damage types. You know.
Necrotic would be undead, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just make sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Basic,
It'll say fire necrotic on the attack, but
for me, basically, it's if I get hit with necrotic, I barely take damage, and I get a bonus on top of that. It's like, bruh, you're not touching me.
yeah, it's the trigger's pretty good. Fire necrotic.
Alright, I'll go ahead and switch him.
Thanks.
Yep.
Cool.
We got hope and change.
Sarelka is a very happy tri-queen right now.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Probably.
You don't get to meet your god every day.
So the Traveler will kind of nod and say,
I'm gonna take the blessing as well, I think.
okay. So give me D100.
Fury, is this the same chart Will got his speech from?
Yeah, leadership is one of the power words.
Okay.
Alright.
That has to be a good one, right?
One can hope.
Power word love.
I would not be surprised, in all honesty.
Power word seduction.
Power word sit on my face and tell me that you love me.
I'm not even gonna say anything on that one.
Yep.
Because you can't have a session without Monty Python references.
Power word Wayfinder.
But alright.
Sweet, you can get us out of this jungle.
It's kind of underwhelming, but sure.
That's it's a little annoying, but
hang on.
it's also kind of nice.
1 second. I can't
Oh, you did the
read.
wrong number. Did the
can't
wrong
read.
number.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
that
yeah.
says 65.
Being able to read is helpful.
I
Little
cannot.
bit.
But
I
Silver
can-
also said 65.
Yeah, that's
weird.
bizarre too. Silver and Wayfinder are both 65.
They're not both 65.
Oh.
I accidentally hit the sort button on the chart, so
Oh.
the chart screwed up, and I had to hit the sort button again, which will put everything. I was like 65. I thought that was something else, and then I looked and I saw that my chart was fucked up. So let me. Oh, okay. 69 is way better.
Woo. Ah,
Whoa!
I can be a defender.
Wow.
Whoa! Ho, ho, ho.
Are you sure you don't
Dude.
want to always know which way's north though? Because
You won the freaking lottery with that one.
But can you mark? I don't
Yeah.
remember if Red marks.
I'm a
Yeah,
fighter.
she marks.
I mark
That's-
everything that I hit.
yeah, that's incredibly
Oh my
badass.
god, dude, you just hit the mother load.
Red, also known as everybody form up in burst formation. They can't hit us.
Okay, so the traveler will say to you, I will not tell you what needs to be done. I will only tell you that adventure makes good stories. And this entire island, it is full of adventures. Travel well. He nods, and then he disappears, and you see the cool, like the absolute cold that froze everything in the room, start to warm back up to more normal temperatures and die down. So the Sahuagin, as soon as they unfreeze, are going to immediately leave. They weren't necessarily your enemies during this, but neither do they want to stay around. And they don't really want to deal with you guys at all. And some of them seem to be arguing back and forth about something else.
Alrighty then.
And so they head off and leave. And yeah, we'll get items, and I'll go ahead and draw you guys back to the other thing.
All right.
Okie doke. Okay, wait. What was the point of doing this again? Like, what did we get sent there to do? We only got sent there to get rid of the voices, right?
Right.
Basically.
We have to do wrap up. So I was pulling you guys away from the temple, so I can make sure things don't get completely lost. So, once you guys get done, I'm assuming you guys head back down to the village.
Yeah.
And as soon as you get there, Doc Shin comes out to greet you, and basically showers you all with praise, in his very eloquent draconic speaking, thanking you for doing all the things that you've done. And saying that the way to the Emerald Mines must be clear now, and we will be able to go back and get a great tribute for the great masters. And he says, thank you, and he presses the bag full of emeralds into Isdam's hand, and continue, or actually probably Ember's hand, into Ember's hand, and continually says, thank you, and bows his head towards you. And you guys can stay in the village. Now, one thing I do want to say is that if you guys decide to do like Chult 2, Chult 2 starts in the village, so storyline-wise, the reason I'm not taking you guys back to the guild itself is because if you do Chult 2 next, then you'll start here rather than, having to come here.
Okay.
All right.
That makes sense, and I guess we can do other adventures in the meanwhile and just say that we are still in the village if we do Chult 2.
Correct. So if you've done Chult 1 and then you go to start Chult 2, you can say, oh, well, I did this one next. And even if it doesn't make 100% sense because you're like 3 levels higher, it's fine. Like, that's part of the way that the guild is designed to be flexible is that the assumption that both the players and the DM are going to hand wave some stuff like that so that you guys don't have to have a character locked in this adventure.
We can
Yeah,
just
pretty
pretend
sweet.
we leveled up by chopping wood or something.
Or by doing other things in the village. Or on
Yeah.
the island. You went and found that, you went and found a behemoth of some form to go in and fight. So if you guys will put yourselves where you would be for levels, I will get you guys the experience, because experience in this one's a little wonky.
Okay.
Yeah, if it's a lot of experience, I may level up, so I'm not dragging myself in there
It
yet.
is a
I
lot
want
of
to know.
experience.
I will definitely level up then.
Well, considering I was only 260 away from leveling, I'm definitely leveling
Yeah,
up
you're
too.
guaranteed
Yeah.
to level up, so drag yourself to 6. Valerian.
I'm 40 away from IOU, so I'm gonna be level 7.
It was AL8, right?
AL8, correct?
Yep.
Yep.
Do you need help?
I'm in as a DM. Glad you got your mic back.
So there's EXP and gold.
Holy cow.
Holy
Fun.
moly!
Like I said, there is a particular way to do this adventure that, and I want to be very clear about this. If you defeat an encounter, defeating an encounter does not mean kill all of the enemies. It means you bypass whatever the problem was to get to the end. So, for example, you guys got full experience for the Sahuagin and crocodile encounter, even though you guys didn't even see the crocodile and you didn't fight the Sahuagin.
There's crocodiles.
There's a very badass crocodile in this encounter. That is the primary.
Glad we missed it.
Huh.
Two groups have fought the crocodile. On an unrelated note, two groups have lost people in this adventure.
Like I said,
Let's go!
glad we missed it.
All right, so
With
there's you
IOU,
get
of
gold.
course.
So who are the people that chose? So everyone effectively chose optional loot to take the blessing. So who are the people that chose to take an item instead? So Ember chose item, and I think one other person, right? Brett.
Yeah, Brett.
Okay. So give me just a second. For some reason, it's not written on my rewards.
Does it matter if we have RNG, Gary? I got it. I got it as a story award.
Yeah, because it's optional loot, so there's no role for it. You know what I mean?
I don't. It just. Do I need it? If I don't have to. If I'm not using RNG, that's fine. I just want.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't use it. So
slot.
Cool.
The way,
Yeah.
again, so the way RNG works is that if there's a loot roll and you do not get loot on the loot roll, then you say I have RNG, and you automatically, it basically gives you a huge bonus to your loot roll, and you get an item anyways, even if you rolled poorly. So effectively, the way that it works is that as long as there is a loot roll, as in you don't take optional loot, you take a loot roll, you can automatically get an item, but it's not expended by you not using it here.